Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. This is an episode of Fishing with Fishco. I'm your host Kevin, and today I want to talk to you about my favorite live bait rig. Stay tuned. Alright, let's start with the most important part of the rig. This is just a size 1 circle hook. And I have this tied with a snell knot. Now I did a tutorial on how to tie the snell knot a few months ago. I'll put the card up here so you can check out that video. Now the reason I use a circle hook is so you don't gut hook a fish. So the circle hook goes in, and with the snell knot, when you set the hook, it turns in and out so it catches the lip of the fish. More times than not, that's what happens. You miss a lot with a circle hook, but it's the safest way to fish. I'm mostly trying to catch bass with it, and I don't want to gut hook any bass. I don't want to kill any. So that's just your best option. Now, up the line from the hook, about 7 or 8 inches, I have just an average size split shot. This is like on your medium size. There's small, then there's this, then there's the large size. That's just to keep your bait fish down. I'm using shiner. I use creek chubs all the time, shiners, smaller minnows. It just keeps it down. Now up here, this is my leader line. It's about 1.5 feet of line, and it's tied to a barrel swivel. So a barrel swivel, it prevents line twist, so you don't get any nicks or knots in your line. And that is tied with a Palomar knot. I'll put a link in the up here to that video. Now my main line also tied with a Palomar knot. This is 15-pound braid. Now I always use braid to leader because braid's a more expensive line, but it lasts a lot longer. I have the same braid on my rod as a main line for about a year before I change it. It's more cost efficient when it comes to that. So anyway, now here's this is called a slip bobber. Now, a slip bobber is much better than your average plastic or styrofoam bobber. So this is completely hollow inside. There's nothing inside this bobber. So your live bait lives a lot longer because this doesn't have any extra weight. So it's down there and it's moving freely with the slip bobber. It's not feeling any tension from the bobber at all. Plus, it's a lot easier for the fish to take down. The fish don't really feel that resistance when they bring this down because it's hollow on the inside. Up here, I have a bobber stop and a plastic bead. Now, the only reason I have that bead here is because my bobber stop is a little small, and you see the opening of this bobber. If I didn't have that bead there, that bobber stop would go right through the bobber and not stop anything. So that's the only reason I have that bead there, to be honest with you. If I had a bobber that had a smaller hole, the bobber stop would just stop it. The slip bobber, the idea is you can set it at any depth you want. So right here, I have it at about 2.5 feet. So say I'm fishing 4 feet of water. This would be perfect. You always want it to be in the middle of the water column. So say I'm fishing 10 feet or 8 feet. I can move this bobber stop up to 4 or 5 feet. Now it is really adjustable to any depth you want. Say I'm fishing 20 feet, I can move this bobber stop all the way up to 18, 20 feet. And when I cast that out, this will just slide all the way up the line until it hits that bobber stop, causing the bait to go to any depth I set that bobber stop at. Now the reason you use a split shot on this rig is because you need to get that bait down to cause that bobber stop to ride up the line and go all the way up to that stop. And this will always stand straight up like this on the surface of the water. And like I said before, this has no resistance for that bait fish. It keeps it alive a lot longer. It's able to freely swim around. You see that bobber moving around. If you use a plastic or a styrofoam bobber, the bait fish feels that resistance. They're trying to swim away from the hook, you know, and they're moving that bobber around, and it's causing them to get tired because they feel that heavy resistance from that heavy bobber. And your bait fish dies before you really get a bite. I mean, in my opinion, I always use a slip bobber. So anyway, that is the rig. Start from the top. This is how you set it up. You put the bobber stop on, and in my case I have the bead there, and then you put the slip bobber on, and then I tie the leader line to the barrel swivel, and then my main line to the barrel swivel, and then I snell my hook on. Now, that is my setup. If any of you have any suggestions on your own live bait setup, let me know in the comments. So anyway, this has been an episode of Fishing with Fish Call. I'm your host, Kevin. Thanks for watching. Peace out.